you go.
Were you saying that that was 35 millimeter anamorphic, or was this something else?
Oh no, that was just a project I'm working on soon.
Cool.
Yeah. So Zardoz,
The
Jake,
good is good. The
Jake, why?
is
Yeah,
evil.
Jake, why'd you pick this movie?
Yeah, explain yourself, brother.
Yeah.
Got this app that Lizette showed me called Q, and so I basically every time I see like a movie, I'm like, hey, should maybe watch that at some point. I'll add it. So I have a whole bunch of them. I just kind of scrolled through and said, "Whoa, that looks funky. I think I'll just use this as a mechanism for getting through my list."
Mhm.
I think I think the new Bev have shown this recently, and it really packs a crowd. Like this is kind of a, I guess it would be considered a cult movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was a
Definitely.
good
Um
that was a good copy of the scan that you found on.
oh,
Because
Internet Archive. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
this is a really good yeah, they uh retain the CinemaScope look, you know.
No, this is a cult movie, just like The Room is a cult movie, but this movie makes The Room look like a coherent masterpiece. I mean,
Wait,
dude,
well, no,
wow.
wait. Now, wait a minute. It just sort of I think it just sort of falls apart at the end. In the beginning, it's so intriguing because this head starts flying around
Okay,
and just starts
let's set some context before we like jump into the movie.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot,
do it, do
okay?
it. Yeah, do it up.
So the year is 1974. The hit on the radio is Barbara Streisand's The Way We Were.
Ugh. Blech.
Sean Connery is coming up from like six back-to-back Bond films. He's tired of
Mm,
his image. He wanted to shake things up. The director John Boorman just 2 years ago did Deliverance, which was like a hard-hitting drama starring Burt Reynolds, who was initially the first choice for this movie, but he
yeah,
backed out. So Sean Connery,
equally as hairy, equally as hairy.
equally as Harry, so he always had that in mind. Um, okay. Another thing, in 1968, 2001: A Space Odyssey released. In
Mm,
1971, A Clockwork Orange. In 1972, Solaris. So this kind of scene for an avant-garde science fiction philosophical film, there was an appetite. But whether Zardoz delivered on that or not will be the topic of this discussion. Funnily enough, like as grand as its ideas are, it was only made on a budget of like 1 million and something. So
mm.
a shoestring budget at the time, you know. And even considering someone as big as like Sean Connery was in this, I'm surprised they didn't get a budget because most of it was shot on John Boorman's estate, which kind
Mm.
of gives it that even more like student filmy kind of, DIY look. Um, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts?
thought it was a good low budget sci-fi. It's goofy. It's fun.
He made this film because his pitch for Lord of the Rings was rejected. And so this was
Mm.
plan B.
Did you ever see Excalibur?
So, so they shot this in Ireland too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, at his estate.
O- Okay, so this is an amazing setup. Like, okay, so it's incredible. I because okay, so this guy who comes from this different world is all about like he's an executioner. So he goes around just killing people who aren't gonna work. It's amazing. This guy falls down and just he just blasts them. It's like it's amazing. It's basically southern United States attitude. And then he's leaving that society for the society that um they archive human achievements.
Oh
Is
my
that
God,
how it goes?
dude. That society of like Eternals is like the most boring after party ever.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
What the
like
fuck?
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, man.
They're squares, man. They're like
Like
lame.
it's this is what happens when you like, give a bunch of philosophy majors like, you tell them like go wild, but give them no budget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also like they're too whole. I guess they're considered wholesome because they're trying to learn how to. They're trying to learn what causes erections. Is that is that what happened?
I love your
Right.
recollection of the movie.
Right.
They're,
Is that? Am I
they're
wrong?
trying to build a utopian society, I feel like is the conceit of the movie, or am I wrong, Jake?
Yeah.
I mean, that's seems like their intention, but I think as a thematically, like, see that in uh, Equilibrium and um, Brave New World, it's
Hmm.
just these
Well,
kind
in
of
okay,
like,
so also during this era, weren't a lot of stories about if you get too old, they just kind of throw you away?
yeah, like Giver. I don't know when that was written, but I think the movie came out a little bit. When did
Soylent Green, right?
Soylent Green? Yeah, with Charlotte. That was
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, it has that same like they just put them on a different plane because if you disagree with the group, it's also this weird group thing.
There's a
It's
lot
sort
of
of
like ideology, power systems, like cults were big at the time. Uh,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
My only thing with all of that is great points, everyone. But I feel like we're projecting like this philosophical depth to something that's only as deep as Sean Connery's diapers in this movie. Like I feel like this is what the
I
script for the
mean,
movie was. The director John Borman one night sat at his estate,
mhm,
opened a Wizard of the Oz, and took like the biggest hit of acid. And the real
right?
like mystery is like who was his supplier? Because that's what he did. Just he somehow secured $1 million, did some acid and read Wizard of the Oz, and came up with the most insane film I have personally ever seen. The choices in this movie are so bizarre.
Yeah, like I I really like that idea of like if you have sort of a big studio like 20th Century Fox feeding your fever dream and the but also like
No, because that was the thing. When
you
his pitch got rejected, he came up with it in a few weeks. So he
that's
wrote this
great like
entire like thing,
but
and you can
but
tell,
also
you can tell.
uh, also being but the great thing about it is also looking around your house and saying okay I can have access to this and this and saying
I
okay
can
we're
throw
gonna
a
shoot
party,
this.
so we can make that happen. I know
Yes,
a person, she'll come through. Okay, so
exactly,
if we put him in too
great,
much of a complicated outfit, that's going to be too many costume changes. What's the cheapest outfit? Let's just put
right,
it
and
in underwear and
he
bandoliers.
can wear the same thing for the rest of the shoot so it doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
But how did he get Jeffrey Unsworth to shoot this thing? I mean, he shot what is it? Murder on the Orient Express or yeah, Murder on the Orient Express a few years before with Sidney Lumet. And
Oh,
then
wow.
3 years later he'd do Superman.
Huh.
So I can't imagine a guy that sort of established would just be this reckless. I guess it feels like it's really
That's
reckless.
part of the mystery of this movie to me more than the like I mean the plot is a mystery also. But how did they get these people on board? How did they convince
Yeah,
Connery to come on board? How did they convince Charlotte Rampling? I mean, I guess she was like new at the time. Fun fact,
right.
Charlotte Rampling later goes on to play the Queen Dowager in Dune. She's the
Okay.
one who tells Paul Atreides to
84,
hand
yeah,
him the
84 game, yeah. And then yeah, Borman also did Excalibur, no? Was that
Yeah.
7 years later? Wait, 81, 80?
Was it before or after? I think it was after. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean this it has a similar look to Excalibur, like this sort of gauzy, smoky look. I read something that so what happened was Jeffrey Unsworth, the DP,
Hmm,
was shooting it mostly wide open,
hmm,
and there was a lot of filtration he put on it because he really wanted to give it that dream look.
Hmm.
But in the old days, when you started making prints from it, there was a degradation after like so many prints, and after a certain point, they couldn't get a usable image anymore. So yeah, he was really experimenting with that process back then.
For me, it looked more hazy than dreamy. I don't know. Did it look?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's basically shooting around my house, and John Borman's house is pretty damn cool.
Dude,
You
so the
know?
whole thing I'm reading is like Sean Connery was frustrated that Bond was one-dimensional and he was being typecast. So he
Yeah.
decides to go and do this movie where all he does is play a brute who's mostly stone-faced and makes like monosyllabic like responses. That's that character has no dimension. Like that
That's
logic didn't make sense to me. Like his performance
yeah.
in this movie has shows zero range, and his whole like frustration was, oh, Bond doesn't have enough range. So that's like,
So
what was it that made people sign on to this movie?
yeah, like the whole idea. I like the idea that he I like the idea that like you're just a brute that comes into this utopian society. It's actually the reverse. People keep saying it's dystopian, but in reality, he's going to a place that's actually sort of more civil, I would think, right? He's
Yeah,
bringing all the
maybe a utopian
he's
society.
bringing all the garbage, you know,
But then
the
he robs
murder.
the hero's journey because of the whole Wizard of the Oz conceit. Because he's just
Oh,
like
right, yeah,
born in the game. He's
yeah.
not even like he doesn't even have any agency.
So okay, so yeah, okay, so the reveal is that Zardoz is basically Wizard of Oz, but
Oh my God,
the
that's
book
not giving
he
me up.
finds
No, like
it's
what?
Zardoz.
I
Yeah,
could not believe. I was like, are they serious? That felt like an SNL sketch to me. I was like,
yeah.
this is happening in the movie. He's literally putting his finger and saying, Zardoz,
So
Wizard
wait a minute.
of Oz."
So if they name
Come
their
on, man.
god,
Like
if they
such a
name their god
spoiler.
Zardoz, does that mean that they just misinterpret something? They misinterpreted the book Wizard of Oz, right? So they just named this god Zardoz.
Huh.
Is that right? Oh, and another thing, I forgot about this part. There's so many little things about this that are just fascinating. So books,
Hmm.
he learns about books,
Hmm.
and he starts reading the entire library until
Yeah.
he comes across that, right?
Yeah.
So are they trying to say like ignorance has kept them into being this sort of like what are they trying to say being this ignorant just keeps you into a brutish mode?
No,
Kind
but
of, right?
haven't the
Like
brutes been
evolution.
bred? Haven't the brutes been bred to be this way? Like
By
to
who?
by the whatever the
They're
main.
just primitive, right? They're
Yeah,
very
yeah.
primitive.
So from what I understand, the world of the movie, there's like the world of the Eternals, and then there is the the
Yeah, Zed's world. Yeah.
Zed's world, where
Yeah.
regular
And they're
people
farmers.
where regular people exist who do some sort of like farming,
Yeah, they're farmers and agriculture. Yeah,
and
they're
the magic guy who like is their Wizard of Oz, Zardoz. He is like one of the Eternals who's one of his quirks is that he likes sleight of hand tricks or something. He's into like magic or something. She makes a comment about it, like
yeah.
he loves to play with them or something. So he engineers these Zed creatures, these other like Zardos version
Mm,
Zed underwear wearing. Apparently,
yeah.
there's cloning in this world to some extent because he himself is a clone because he gets shot by Sean Connery in the beginning, but then he gets brought back later,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
he goes to the big room. There are so many like reveals that happen and so much like projection going on. It's like
Yeah, there's a core idea in it, and then the rest of it is just, kind of surreal. Like it's
that's why
no
it's like
yeah.
perplexing. It's like it's almost like an inkling of an idea, and then it's a lot of like bullshit, nonsense, fucking trippy
Yeah.
hogwash.
Yeah, like you said earlier, philosophy and stuff. It's
Like
bizarre.
pseudo intellectual.
So what do you think they're saying about society here, because it obviously is commenting on the primitive, you
There's
know.
something, it's like that classic like 70s counterculture message, like ideology is oppressing you.
Mm,
Some fucking comment about like it has a lot of Freudian elements, with the gun and the penis, uh,
mm,
violence and men, and oppression and suppression, and
yeah, and religion being
religion, and yeah.
thing
But that's the thing,
causing.
like I don't think there's a through line. There is not a coherent idea. It's just like all of that, It's just like a fucking a stew of like ideas
Yeah,
with fucking Sean Connery running through them in a red underwear
with a bandolier too.
with a bandolier and like knee-high boots. It's like
Yeah,
everything is so bizarre in this.
yeah,
They're like random, gratuitous, like 70s nudity, and it's like there's this weirdly, as I was watching this movie, it's hard to like stay in the plot because it's so fucking ridiculous. I was like concocting theories of like why did people agree to do this? What was happening behind the scenes? And just the vibe of this movie, it has this like 70s grimy movie. It seems
yeah,
to me, and Sean Connery randomly for so no reason is like kissing like every like other like girl.
yeah.
The
Well, they have,
barely demands it, and it's like their tits like come out. And now he has to make out with her. He has to make out with her at some point. Like the whole like finding the erection scene, like you thought like their whole uh field of study was finding erections. They're actually a utopian society, but they spend so much time on that erection scene that your memory of that is like are they like studying human erections? Because
yeah.
scene is shot like that. Like it's all the budget of the movie, like the pace or something. It's like almost a B movie. Or no, it is a
So,
B movie.
but so Jake, uh, you chose this film of some kind just because of the, I mean, it's out of control. This movie's out of control.
Unreal.
Um, you know what I think it was? As far as like why it was maybe like made and watched at the time, and I think it kind of, I think that around that time there was kind of like a cynicism with how long the Vietnam War was taking and its aims and its repercussions and stuff, that that kind of maybe started manifesting into like a weird psychedelic escapism, where like, you know, where you know, the violent society is being like re-examined in a way. I just picked it because it was in the list and it looked interesting. I was like, well, I haven't seen this, and the trailer looks crazy, so maybe this would be a good choice.
Dude, I've always wanted to see it because every time the New Beverly shows it, it's always sold out.
I,
And I'm
I
like, what is this? Yeah.
I couldn't take my eyes off of it, but it was also like watching like a car crash.
Yeah, that's like
Massive. It was like
it's really
2001's like autistic brother, who was
it's really
experimenting with drugs.
Hmm.
it's really hard not to, okay, so the Vietnam War was actually still going on when this movie came out.
Yeah,
At 74.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then 75 is when it officially ended.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Apocalypse Now coming out 5 years later as
Mhm.
like the retrospective reanalysis of it all. There's a lot of like
Do
parallels.
you do you guys consider this place like a commune then? Like this place is a commune, right?
Pretty much.
They, they kind of bake their own food or
No,
make their
they're
own
literally
food.
like a hive mind. Like the I won't go to the
Oh
sex
yes,
level
yes,
thing.
yes,
That
you're
was
right.
just fucking
Yeah.
crazy. Like there's so
Dude,
much that happens in this movie. It's like, it's hard to like, it's really hard to like recap.
this also
Yeah.
it also reminds me of the Holy Mountain, which was made
That's a good parallel for this one.
in
Because it
19.
feels like you're watching someone else's fever dream.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
So
that
as,
and sorry,
no,
Fantastic
go ahead.
Fantastic Planet, the
Yeah,
animated.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
It's had a real close vibe to that.
So as far as the effects go, they're pretty actually that flying head is actually pretty
That's
damn
one of the
cool.
real good props for that. Yeah, that's
It's
one.
really cool.
It was stable. It was very stable.
Yeah. You don't see I mean they didn't
I was
green
thinking
screen it,
like, yeah, I was thinking it was on a
forced
stand,
perspective.
maybe like a stand, and then they did like a dolly and some camera moves.
Yeah.
Same thing with the guy in the beginning when he's all like, "Ooh!" I think it's just like put him in front of a blue screen and then do the dolly some like wacky movement, and then
I'm not sure I'm
That
not
guy,
sure. I think they just did rear projection.
yeah,
that guy had the
Like
most punchable face I've ever seen.
oh,
the
moved
friend.
it around.
Yeah, the Zardoz, the actual Zardoz.
Oh well, Zed is that guy's name, but
No,
the
no, not
god is
Zed.
named Zardoz.
Zardoz is like the one with the fake mustache.
Oh, his pal, the guy that which dude?
He's the scene he's talking about. In the beginning, he's like, he comes from the curtain.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's so annoying, man. I
yeah.
like hit him in the
I
face.
think they said they did that just to explain what the hell was
Like
going on.
this movie has the subtlety of like, a fucking sledgehammer. It's like we
Yeah.
get it, bro. Like, why don't you hold the Wizard of Oz in front of the camera and point, like spell it out for us? Like, don't leave anything to the fucking imagination. But at the same time, I have no idea what was going on.
Well, what's really weird is like even regardless of the fact that they'd had no real direction and Borman was coked out or LSD'd out of his mind, there actually is a lot of like, how do you translate that onto screen and still make it that interesting? You know what I mean? That's
Some of
pretty
the
remarkable.
those like sequences where like he's in the library or like he's learning about the
Yeah,
tabernacle, which is an insane MacGuffin, like almost seemed
so
like a
cool.
precursor to some of these Marvel movies like Tesseract or whatever.
Well,
Some
like a
of this
movie
like
like this,
70s fucking counterculture mumbo jumbo is like so insane to fucking get into.
well, as kind of random as a lot of these scenes are put together, it really like it really inspires me to want to make something, you know? Like I don't know what that is, but I'm just like, oh shit, you can, you
Yeah,
know, put
I
plastic
showed
tarp around somebody and
you
start
should do
beating them
some
with a
acid
stick.
and watch The Art of the Deal and make your feature.
there you go.
I mean, okay, so what I was getting at was Borman, regardless of even how tanked up he was, still makes a pretty damn good movie, you know?
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, good, I don't know. Interesting, 100%.
I feel like it's a good movie. Like, if it's interesting, it's hard not to. I can't stop watching it, you
I
know?
can't watch it again. Like it was only like I only had
Oh,
one watch in me. Like, would you be able to
okay.
watch this again for 2 hours? Like,
Yes.
Jesus Christ, bro.
I think I could because I feel like I'm missing a few things, but yeah, I understand. I understand that it's kind of work. Yeah.
For me, it took a lot. I was like, man, this was work. I was entertained for sure in like some parts, like, but and I'm sure the same people who are going to New Bev, it's a kind of like reflexive entertainment you get like when you watch something like The Room or some part
Yeah.
like Blue Velvet,
Well,
you're like kind
a
of
lot
like
of that
enjoying the ridiculousness a little.
a lot of that stuff is watching your friend's reaction rather than
Yeah,
watching your own, you know?
right, right.
You know, I would, some people would bring friends just so that they could, they just start laughing along with the movie, which is like, I don't know if that's all, and I don't know if that's necessarily it makes it a, yeah, it not doesn't make necessarily make it a good movie, but
Like
you
this
know,
movie is a great movie to screen amongst friends. Like part of like the idea behind starting like a film discussion like group was like, being able to appreciate like, good like cinema together. And how much good cinema there is in this is like, up for debate.
yeah, I
Like
mean,
the practical effects part is like amazing, but like just
yeah, I think
for
that's
that to
the
go through
thing.
2 hours of like fucking Sean Connery's nuts in my face is like, man,
Would you?
a lot to ask. Also, like, what
Well,
kind of alien is he? He sounds so Scottish. My name is, my mission is, bro. You
so
sound like Sean Connery. Just drop the facade.
so do you think this movie is sort of geared? I know they didn't think about it back then. I'm not sure what they thought who the audience would be. But do you feel like nowadays it's almost like this is made for people who make movies? Like if you watch it, you go,
Yes, 100%.
it's whoa, okay,
No,
I can
I
do
disagree.
this.
I disagree.
No?
No,
What do you think?
because I think these types of movies have. It's the reason why I found it is that we live in an age where technology has like allowed like movies to find their audiences.
Right.
I think
Mhm.
that, and I think that if you were to make something like this today, it wouldn't necessarily only attract filmmakers. It would like people might just see it and think it looks fucking
Well,
ridiculous.
how Ari Aster is this? Let's put it on an Ari Aster scale here.
I mean, I was thinking Love Witch. I don't know if that's not Ari Aster, but
No, that's yeah, that's what's her
like
name?
aesthetically, it's similar. It's kind of in this. It's like there's a little bit of overlap. It's not a ton. It's just there's some overlap. There's that one, and then what else? Like oh, okay, uh, Midsummer. This had
Oh
kind of
yeah,
Midsummer vibe
yeah.
too.
Wicker Man.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to be out of time in 9 minutes, so I'll send a new link.
Mhm.
Continue.
Oh yeah, it's just like it's everything. They threw everything at the wall, man.
Yeah, 100%.
But it was like, they woke up one day, it's like, hey, we can go film here in the lock or wherever. It's like, let's do this. Let's shoot something. Which is
I
so
think that
that's what I mean by
no
that's what
one
I mean
said
by
no to
inspiring.
anything on this film, I think.
Well,
Like,
it's like, I have a closet full of costumes. Let's go here, throw these on. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
something. I love that. You know?
But it's utter nonsense, guys. Like I refuse to believe there's any sense in this film. It's complete nonsense.
Does there need to be? And also, the guy in the beginning, who the god, he kind of set it up as sort of like a meta inverted,
Yeah.
looking at itself as kind of like meaning nothing.
Yeah, he was doing a thing on Shakespeare, like he's done. It's a device that Shakespeare uses in like one of his play.
Yeah,
Um,
the muses,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
they come up and they're like, "Hey, what's up?"
So that was one of my problems with this film, man. It's trying to be fucking so fucking smart and like fucking philosophical. Like, oh, we're fucking doing Shakespeare device in the beginning. We're a meta commentary. Here, look, we're inspired from Wizard of Oz. Like,
Mm.
you're so right in saying, Tom, that this is a movie for film nerds. Not just that, I'd say this is the kind of movie a lot of like new filmmakers make, where it's just your fucking Tumblr page. Like,
Mm.
who gives a shit about your influences? Like, what are you really saying anything? I mean, in this case, like it's on steroids, like where it's like
Yeah, they have a budget
got
for
some
it.
resources and like so many people said yes, like the cinematographer, like Sean Connery, like some of the cast is pretty,
Mm.
and like,
Yeah.
but no one said no to. That's what I was. No one said no. Just
Yeah.
yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sean Connery in a wedding dress, let's be honest.
That was insane, dude. I was like, how did you convince this guy?
There's like he's like there's no reason for it, by the way. It's
There
like
is no
he's
reason, and
trying to get smuggled into somewhere. It's like, who cares? No one cared.
that's wild.
They're all like fucking each other. No one cared. He's like, hey, put this wedding dress on and sneak into this place. It's like no one was watching. No one was caring. They weren't even right. They weren't even looking for him. They
That's
just put on
so
the dress.
true.
Yeah,
He just wanted to put him in that dress.
yeah. They just wanted to put him in the dress. There's no reason.
Uh,
Oh, and then so like like at the end, they have this going to talk about like even more a deeper philosophical thing. You know, they show like him and Charlotte Rampling, just sort
oh
of
yeah, having a
dissolve from one to another until they're old and they have a kid, and
yeah.
it's like,
What was
wow,
that?
way to end it.
Dude,
Yeah.
this is such discount. This movie is discount 2001. It's like the fucking Food for Less version of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Dude, what?
2001, or if I ordered on Temu.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
this is, but the thing is, this is still watchable. And by the way, Jeffrey Unsworth shot 2001 as
That's what I'm saying. This
well.
dude, it's so clear, dude. He sat in his
Yeah.
estate, did pop some acid, watched some 2001, opened some Wizard of Oz. He was like, I know a movie to make. And then like
Maybe
the script in 2 weeks.
maybe I'm just being like sort of like like overly complimentary of it, but it's so hard. Like maybe it's back to that comment of it being like a car wreck. I cannot not stop looking at it. You know?
It's very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, but there is a film school feel to it. You know?
Chorus was the thing you were thinking of. I was wrong. I said muses. It was the chorus in Shakespeare's plays.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Greek chorus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of one. The Greek chorus
Oh.
of one. But yeah, it's like, okay, so this trip, there's like a bunch of tripped out laser shows, projections. It's like everything a film student really wants to do. It's all the shit, he wanted to do as a film student. You know? A lot of the visual stuff is pretty fucking cool. Like when he's in that interrogation room and there's like those bodies just stuck to the windows. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. You know?
It's wild that this movie has somehow seeped into like popular culture too. At the same time, people do not know it exists, and at the same time, like it's kind of in there. Like there was a Rick and Morty episode now I'm recalling, where there's kind of a reference to this, where there is like a head that talks. There is a culture of like aliens that's breeding like a bunch of brutes to like breed like other women, and it was about matriarchy and women. Like that had a point, this has no point.
Dude, okay, so I'm watching this projection right now of this face on top of another face, right? And lately, a few DPs have shown me, hey, check it out. I'm going to project this face on top of this face. There's no way in hell they didn't see Zardoz. No way. I'm seeing this right now. It's a face projected on a face, and it's a clown face, and it's so trippy. So there's no way they didn't watch Zardoz and take that idea, or it's derivative of like
That was that very
somebody copied.
psychedelic imagery in that era, right? It's a lot of like image on like image on
Light show.
image, like
Yeah.
double exposures, a lot of like
Yes.
phasing.
Experimental. Yeah. To John Borman's credit, deliverance to this, come on. Like that's pretty amazing.
Pretty
Yeah.
well.
That's give him credit, for being able to do this and also still have a career even out there.
Off is wild. And it's gorgeously shot. Okay, the special effects are practical. That's amazing.
Yes.
And they're good. They're not just like in there for being a set piece.
Yeah, that's what makes me wonder.
There's like a stench of like pretentiousness in this movie for me personally, Like I look at it and it's like this is a wannabe like Kubrick or like like a Tarkovsky, but he's not.
Tarkovsky, yeah. I can definitely see the Tarkovsky and
but it's
idea, but I don't.
It's like Tarkovsky at 420p,
But it's so weird just because I don't consider John Borman an intellectual. He seems more. He does seem more sort of towards like the Lord of the Rings attitude. What is it? The Tolkien.
While watching this movie is like that I'm watching 2001 and Fast and Furious at the same time. So like disorienting. I'm like it's almost there, but it's not. Like there's some ideas, but they're fucking there were no like a lot of
maybe it doesn't. I think the problem also is like it doesn't linger on the ideas it really wants to play on long enough for us to really care.
But it lingers on like, dude, there is so much nipple in this movie, like men. They're just like
look,
right around nipples.
If you take one of their concepts and you could expand it into your own feature, let's be honest.
Yeah.
and that's pretty damn awesome, you know?
This is a lot packed into like a movie in terms
Yeah.
of concepts, in terms of plot.
I mean, do you think do you feel the artistry in it though?
Oh yeah, for sure,
Like John Borman feels like a sculptor or a painter.
for sure.
I don't know. I don't really know his background, but you know,
Who's the production design?
I don't know.
Yeah, even
This
the
is so
exteriors that they did shoot were like, it was beautiful.
yeah.
I feel
It's
like maybe in another world where like if this film had like